We hate PD. Welcome back to Teacher Tales, where we give you the keys to overcoming teacher burnout to find work-life balance and educational bliss if it still exists. I'm your host, Tony Rambles, and on this episode of Teacher Tales, we learn that there are right ways to do PD and there are wrong ways to do PD. We'll get into the details with this Edutopia article, Getting Professional Development Right, on this episode of Teacher Tales. Welcome back, everybody. And we don't actually hate PD. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. So the problem, I'll just speak personally. The problem that I have with PD is more often than not, we are sitting and looking at a PowerPoint and falling asleep, being bored, and being taught the same exact way that the district or admin, most teachers, do not want to be taught. There's not enough interaction. We need to be, or I need to be, challenged. I can't just sit and get. That is just not enough for me. I may be speaking just from a personal place, and some other people are like, oh yeah, just sit and get, make this boring, but make it fast and let me get out of here. Personally, I need a little bit more interaction in that, or you are going to lose me. So I try to be positive going into professional development because, of course, there are always more things that we can learn and that we can tweak, that we can get better at. I do believe that professional development is necessary and can be very useful. I just think it needs to be a balance between efficiency and effectiveness. So, of course, I went onto the internet and I tried to find something that would make PD better. So I came across this article on Edutopia called Getting Professional Development Right. Meaningful PD provides teachers with choice and interactive targeted learning opportunity by Amir Taryn Ayers. It starts off by saying getting professional development right is not an easy feat. I will never forget how, as a teacher, swamped with planning, grading, parent communication, and administrative requirements, an unengaging or irrelevant PD made me feel like my already limited time was being siphoned away into oblivion. That's an excellent sentence. To be clear, not all professional development was lackluster. In fact, some sessions were formative for me. But when PD was bad, it was bad. I am now a curriculum supervisor and facilitator of professional development in my district, and I always keep my experience as a teacher at the forefront of decision making and instructional planning. This past school year, I planned and facilitated PD on a far more regular basis than in years prior, and the feedback I've received from teachers has been overwhelmingly positive. Here's what I've learned about how to get PD right. Okay, so now we get into Amir's 5 keys to successful professional development. Number 1, determine which data should drive development. How do you identify the most appropriate learning opportunities for the teachers in your school or district? Spoiler alert, the answer is data. Whether it's data derived from student achievement, teacher evaluations or walkthroughs, or teacher surveys or feedback, determining the appropriate data points to drive the professional development of your teachers is critical for both growth and growth measures. In my district, our leadership team transparently prioritized weekly walkthrough data with a goal of K through 12 growth in instructional alignment. Okay, so sometimes these walkthroughs, I don't think people trust them, even though they say, oh, we're just trying to get some data. We're just walking through. We're just trying to see some things. I get why teachers will go, I don't know. I don't know. But I think that comes with building relationships if you want that to work. Okay, getting back to the article. All professional learning opportunities throughout the school year were then anchored in this focus. From September to June, we were able to measure and track alignment in our classrooms while targeting sessions for our faculty each month based on the data. Number 2, provide teachers with choice. For me, a strong foundation for building meaningful professional development for any group of teachers involves choice. Teachers have varying levels of experience, a diversity of strengths, and a range of different needs. Blanketing all teachers with the same professional development denies your team the opportunity to zero in on specific areas of growth. I 100% agree with this. I love this, and I've seen it in my district over the past couple of years. I would say maybe 2 or 3 years, where we are having more choice in our professional development. So that's great. Choice is also central to cultivating a culture of autonomy for teachers. Every leader and leadership team seeking to support the development of highly effective educators should understand and embrace the immersive value of teacher autonomy. Some of our choice sessions this year were based on teacher requests, such as trauma-informed instruction, differentiating for multilingual learners, neurodiversity, that's a new term that's coming about, and restorative classroom practices. Number 3, androgyny is not the same as pedagogy. One more thing about choice. Furnishing your faculty with professional development options promotes buy-in. Effective engagement is more likely when adults have a sense of self-direction. Adults do not learn the same ways as children. The planning and facilitating of adult learning should always include an understanding of the key differences between androgyny and pedagogy. One of the most common mistakes I see in PD spaces is treating a room full of adults like a classroom of children. In fact, when I first began leading PD as a teacher, my planning process and approach mirrored my middle school social studies classroom. I made the mistakes of speaking to my colleagues as if I were speaking to my children. Consequently, I'm grateful that one of those colleagues gave me that feedback, allowing me to apologize and course correct. Planning and facilitating PD with an androgynical approach has most impacted the way I structure each session. Number 4, skip the lecture, create the conditions for high quality interaction. I love this. Love this. We are so tired of being lectured to, especially if you have a PowerPoint. Just give us the PowerPoint and let's try to figure out some creative way to, here we go, create the conditions for high quality interaction. All right, continuing. No teacher wants to sit and listen to a lecture. Thus, interaction is essential. However, interaction alone cannot be the aim. For instance, icebreakers can get a crowd moving and speaking to one another, but this degree of interactivity alone is not sufficient. For me, high-quality professional learning activities take into account the following components, among others, of an androgynical approach. Number 1, relevance. Number 2, a chance for trial and error. And number 3, problem solving. Now, for all those looking for an example, here it comes. Here's how I planned this kind of activity for one of my sessions last year. The goal was for teachers to use high-quality objectives to drive aligned lessons, activities, and assessments. Teachers formed groups and we jumped into a quote-unquote lesson plan puzzle. Each group of teachers was presented with a large manila envelope. Every envelope contained the following: an ELA or social studies standard, an objective based on the standard, and a revised high-quality objective. Number 2, 2 different do-nows or warm-ups. Number 3, lesson activities. And number 4, 2 exit tickets. Groups were tasked with choosing the most effective lineup, from warm-up to activity to exit ticket. Afterward, we discussed our choices and rested on a shared understanding of the most aligned puzzle. Now let's break this thing down. Relevance. Participants included ELA and social studies teachers. I designed an ELA puzzle and social study puzzles with specific content relevant to all teachers who attended. Trial and error. Some of the activities were designed to be misaligned. Others included multiple activities that all aligned. The rationale behind the use of each activity determined the outcome rather than the activity itself. There was extensive room for error. As a result, productive disagreements and engaging teacher-led discussion ensued. Problem solving. The activity itself was a puzzle. The learning task was problem-based rather than content-based. Okay, number 5, our last tip: embrace feedback from teachers. Professional development is incomplete without feedback from teachers. Feedback is incredibly useful as both an assessment tool to measure feedback and the effectiveness of each session, and a data gathering method to identify teacher needs based on teacher requests for learning opportunities. Our team can hone in on the various components of each session, from objectives, content delivery, quality of activities, etc. Because of this feedback, we are able to target future learning sessions based on what teachers want. This last part here is quite insightful and reflective. It says if we want our teachers to be present at every professional development opportunity on the district calendar, we must seek out teacher feedback and, just as importantly, be willing to make adjustments based on what they tell us. I think this article is a W. I agree with pretty much everything here. If I were to make the article myself, it probably would have had some semblance of all of these different tips, all of these different strategies. So let's recap. Number 1, determine which data should drive development. Number 2, provide teachers with choice. We want to be able to choose. Andragogy, the way adults learn, is not the same as pedagogy. We got to jump to number 4 because I think this is one of the most important. Skip the lecture. Create the conditions for high quality interaction. And number 5, you must embrace feedback from teachers because that is the way you get to create the PD that teachers want in your district. And that is our episode for today. Of course, I'll have on someone else, another teacher, this Thursday. That is going to be Mamu. She has an excellent story of how she got into education and how she continues to stay in education. Shout out to Mamu. Get well soon. If you know, you know. Before we get out of here, remember that PD is not just a sit and get session. Make it fun, make it interactive, and take that feedback from your teachers to make it better. For more teacher tips on burnout and time management, join our Facebook group, Teacher Triumphs, Overcoming Burnout. This is where we share applicable strategies and encourage each other on the journey through education. Until the next time, keep teaching, keep learning, and I will see you all on the next journey.